Today we'll be having our usual discussion where we'll be talking about the Kenyan Premier League, the football season in Kenya, as well as what is happening elsewhere. And today we'll have very interesting guests today because we'll be talking to them to give us what they think of what is happening in local football. But first of all, we start with the European football. Robin Toskin. And we start off in Syria, where Juventus claimed a 9th Serie A title in a row last night following a 2-0 win over Sampdoria. Cristiano Ronaldo opened the scoring deep into the first half stoppage time in Turin, and then had a hand in Federico Bernardeschi netting the second after 66 minutes. Five-time Ballon d'Or winner Ronaldo missed a late penalty, but Maurizio Sarri's side moved 7 points ahead of second-place Inter Milan to seal a 36th Scudetto with 2 games to spare. Sarri described his first league title with Juventus as tasting sweet after a difficult debut season for the veteran coach, overshadowed by a 3-month coronavirus lockdown. The title is 61-year-old Sarri's first and extends the record Juventus run, which Antonio Conte started with 3 titles from 2012, and Massimiliano Allegri continued with the following 5. In the English Premier League, Manchester United and Chelsea sealed Champions League places yesterday as Bournemouth and Watford fell through the trapdoor on a dramatic final day of the longest Premier League season. Liverpool were crowned champions last month, but there was much to play for in the final 90 minutes of a campaign that started on August 9th last year and was interrupted by a 3-month coronavirus shutdown. United finished third after a nervy 2-0 win in a Champions League shootout against Leicester, while Chelsea ended in 4th spot after beating Wolves by the same scoreline at Stamford Bridge. At the other end of the table, Bournemouth and managerless Watford followed already relegated Norwich down to the Championship, while Aston Villa fans breathed a sigh of relief after surviving relegation. Well, after the European major leagues concluded last night, of course, with the Serie A, remaining with 2 matches, there is a lot that is going on with the Kenyan Premier League, and today we'll have 2 guests. We were hoping to have the Ulinzi chairman, that is Colonel Eric Olo. Hopefully he will join us as we continue. But one of the guests is Francis Ngira. If you are on social media, he goes by the name Ustad Kimathi Okelo. This is a senior cameraman. He's done it all. He's seen it all around the world, and that is the man there. Francis Ngira is a senior cameraman. I told you, he's covered the Champions League, he's covered the African Champions League, the African Cup of Nations, the Asian Champions League, and also the Kenyan Premier League, where he started. He's a man who does not hold back. He holds some strong views on what he believes is the right thing and what he believes is not happening, is not going on well in the Kenyan Premier League. Shortly, we'll be talking to Francis Ngira there. Francis, if you can hear me, karibu sana to Sports Chat this morning.
Thank you, Toskin. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and as you can see there, a wonderful job you are doing for yourself and your family, but also putting Kenya on the map, covering the major sporting activities around the world. We are really proud of you, Francis.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Then we have journalist Milton Nyakundi also on joining us via Zoom. And Milton, we want to thank you very much for coming through every other morning. And today, we want to start with you, Milton, because major leagues around the world are concluding. It's only, I think, the Serie A that is yet to conclude. But as we celebrate all that is happening, I saw Manchester United fans yesterday celebrating that finally they finished third and in the Champions League. But come back home, what can we say, Guy?
First of all, Robin, it's a good thing that the major leagues are concluded. Yes, there are a few more matches to play. I think 2 rounds, but Juve have done it again. They have already bagged the Scudetto. But I think it is a good thing. Manchester United, I think, finishing third for the first time, I think, in 7 years. That is their best positioning. Congratulations to the Red Devils. And I think it has been a roller coaster season. But coming back home, I think, Robin, it is a shame that we are in the kind of situation that we are in because of leadership issues. There is a vacuum with the federation, and until now, nobody knows what is going to happen. There are still contestations as to what substantively the outgoing president of the federation, Nick Mwendwa, can do or cannot do. There is a matter before the Sports Disputes Tribunal in terms of those functions that the president can exercise. SDT number 7 of 2020. The tribunal is due to give its ruling on preliminary issues tomorrow. But I mean, amid all this, it is rather unfortunate that we have a leadership at the federation that doesn't seem to care what the rule of law says. And unfortunately, I do not see how soon the leagues can resume, because the truth is that, yes, you have a president who is still in office until re-election or a new one is elected. But remember, the functions in terms of when the league will start or the leagues will start and end is a function of the National Executive Committee, which is not in existence at the moment. So that is the kind of limbo that we find ourselves in. And it is really my hope that sense and reason will prevail for the country to have elections so that we have some finality, we have certainty on decision-making with the federation. So really, for me, I do not see anything good happening with our football until the issue of elections is resolved.
Just hope that something will happen. You know, Francis Ngira, if you are listening to me, I don't know if you also celebrated. I know you hold very strong views about the Kenyan football, situation. But did you celebrate that the English Premier League has now come to an end and it's time for us now to focus on what is happening back home?
Toskin, of course. I mean, if you're in a position that I am in, you always aspire to do bigger things, and you aspire to, associate yourself with the best. And the English Premier League, I think, in the world is one of the best, well-packaged, well-managed leagues in the world. And not just in terms of coverage or broadcast, but even in the way it's managed. So for them to have come back against such a background, and the country itself, went through a lot. More than what we have actually witnessed or we are yet to witness. So for them to have bounced back and played the entire remaining games to finish the league, I think says a lot about the type of leadership the English Premier League, or rather the English football fraternity, has in place. Back at home, just like Milton says, there's nothing absolutely to be proud of. There's nothing Toskin.
It must really hurt you because covering such big international events, the World Cup, I think you've been the Confederation Cup, Asian Cup finals, you've seen it all. And then when you come back home, you feel you can do something, but you cannot do that because you stand behind the camera, showing us what is happening on the field of play.
Toskin, as you put it, my love for the game is is so big that even during riots, I'm one of those cameramen that will go against the director's call wherever I'll be working. If somebody asks me for anything off the field, I mean, if it's not an applause from the fans, I will not go for it. So, I mean, and that's why I get so angry about anything and everything that tries to mess up what happens on the field. So I think this country needs a voice of reason. We just need to find somebody that will crack the whip, and then we go back to the reset button, because as things stand right now, the Kenyan Premier League will continue being a tool for elections. For as long as we continue having the Kenyan Premier League, I mean, even the mandate of the PLC ending or rather coinciding with the election times, it will continue being a tool for politics. So we need to do something.
Found
we
on
need
that,
to do something one and for all.
You say that is a tool. How can it be a tool? This is supposed to be a competition, a top-tier competition, Frank.
This is what I think, and this is what I have observed. We always have these kind of problems at the end of the term, the PLC. If we didn't have this, there was no problem. I mean, there would be no problem with the FKF looking for the KPL and sitting them down and telling them, we have this sponsorship deal, and you guys have really gone through a lot. We've scrapped all over the place and found this. Could you guys sit down with these guys and sort it out? How the FKF takes advantage of the fact that clubs do not have money to, one, end the league and I mean, announce the winner in a kamikaze way on Twitter. It already reeks of a lot of what is wrong with this, with our football landscape right now. And the reason why I think it's a political tool, it's because you're giving clubs money now. Clubs didn't sign this. Okay, you're purporting to be running a league that is autonomous, but you go ahead and negotiate a deal on their behalf without their mandate, because that responsibility was already delegated until September 24. So you go and negotiate a deal on behalf of this same league that you don't want to interfere with. Then you bring the deal on the table. Instead of clubs going through that deal, you entice them with money. Then the clubs sign, and immediately you cast aside the leadership in that same PLC and appoint a new leadership that is apparently friendly to you.
But it's not the mistake. It's not the mistake of the federation, and I'm very sure Milton is listening to this keenly. That we were told a week ago or less that the clubs were going to sit down to agree on the modalities of the BetKing deal, but then they have already received 500,000, and there were no gun was held over the heads of the club chairman. So they have picked the 500,000 shillings before even they discuss about the deal. So why would you want Ngira to blame maybe other force other than the clubs themselves? Maybe before you say anything about that, let me listen from what Milton has to say to that.
Well, I mean, I couldn't agree more with what Francis is saying. It is rather sad that there is an agreement in place. You have delegated the authority and function of the elite league to a limited liability company, and here you are negotiating a sponsorship deal. I mean, from the outset, it is both morally wrong and legally out of context, because the truth is, and let us not sugarcoat things. Like Francis has said, it is being used for political mileage. Because the question I would ask, and I'm yet to get an answer, is why have clubs been given 500,000 shillings at this time? When is the effective date of this deal? It is supposed to start 2022 2020/21 season. Are we there yet? No. We do not even know when the league will start. So what is the premise upon which the money is being released? That is number one. Number two, there is
the COVID
a contract that contract talks about September 24th. It does not matter. Time is a very important component in contracts. You do not come in between simply because you feel you're not going to renew my contract, but before that time lapses, you are all over the place trying to run the functions that you already delegated to me by virtue of that contract. It is breach of contract, it is breach of law, and like Francis has said, you do not even go ahead and announce the league winners, which is not your function. And pretend that you are acting in good faith. The other thing I want to say is that if indeed FKF or the leadership of Nick Mwendwa meant well for the KPL, what they should have done, he should have called the governing council of the KPL and told them that, yes, we know times are difficult and we are doing this for the best interest of the game. We have a sponsor interested and we would want to then engage. It should have been the Joint Executive Committee, which comprises membership from KPL and the FKF. That is the platform through which this would have been negotiated. But in the absence of the National Executive Committee,
let me
in
cut
the
you short
absence
there.
of the Finance Committee, it would have been impossible.
Yes.
In the circumstances for that to happen. What Nick Mwendwa should be focused on is that he needs to throw in the towel and let elections happen.
Once Milton, let me pose this question because the two of you, Milton and Frank, are seemingly, agitating for the rights of the clubs, of the same clubs that do not see the need to go through all those legal procedures or processes, and they have accepted the money. And that's why I get that difficulty to bring my head around that, Frank, that you are saying this is a political tool, but the clubs themselves are not seeing that.
Toskin, it's also the characteristic of wisdom not to do desperate things. And I'll just leave it at that. That said, Toskin, I would have loved to have the Ulinzi chairman on this panel to ask him a question. And my question would be, under what capacity did he accept to be the chair of that transition? Because the KPL, as constituted currently, has rules and regulations, it has statutes within its constitutions, and it has a leadership. There is no vacuum. So why did Cornell and my friend Shikanda and Ken Ochieng, how did they end up where they were, or rather where they are right now? Because there's a leadership in place at KPL. So at whose behest are they doing what they are doing? Because they are flouting the rules of they're flouting the very same rules that they're supposed to be operating under, because the mandate of the KPL hasn't ended. And even if we do not have plans to renew KPL's mandate, we should again call the Joint Executive Committee and explain to them, because that is what the rule says, that anything that interferes with the affairs of the KPL, in as much as FKF might have a say as the custodians of the association football in the country, the Joint Executive Committee has to be involved. So just like we did when we were doing 18 teams, when we were increasing the number of teams, we had a Joint Executive Committee. In as much as there was a tussle, but we can say it was done within a certain framework that is acceptable. People might have walked away, not happy, but it was done as per the law.
Maybe for the benefit of the viewers, there was a meeting between FKF and the clubs. That was last Wednesday, I believe, and they agreed that they are going to sit down, thrash out the details of the deal, and that's why they appointed a 5-man committee For your information, I don't think Colonel Eric Olo is the chairman of that group, but he's just one of the members. So we have Ken Ocheng, we have Olo, as we said, we have Dan Shikanda, we have the chairman of Kariobangi Sharks. So the point I want to make again, Ngira and Milton, is that much as you are fighting for the rule of law, we should have both FKF and KPL realize that the game is bigger than all of them and all of us, because it is meant for all of us, not just on the playing field. And it's also meant for the youth of this country who are not yet playing the game. Do you share in that view, Milton?
Toskin, let me throw my thoughts into that. First of all, who has signed this deal, and for which brand or for which property? FKF and Nick Mwendwa. And by the way, sorry, I don't mean to hurt the Kenyan game. It is good that money is coming into Kenyan football, but we are not going to play blind to the fact that the law must be followed. And I want to tell you this, that contract is not enforceable because Nick Mwendwa does not have the authority, he does not have the mandate to sign a deal for Kenyan Premier League clubs. Let us face it. Yes, we know that the legal name, according to the FKF constitution of the elite league, is FKF Premier League. But as it is today, even those teams that are accepting the money in the name of FKF Premier League, are they members of FKF Premier League? Because we know the FKF Premier League, who the members are. Bidco, Shabana, and others are members of the FKF Premier League. So what are we talking about? How do you single out 15 teams from the elite league and give them money? And I do not know why in this country we have this penchant for killing dead lions. And what I mean by that is, we know what happened in 2015 when the then leadership attempted such a move. Again, the same individual who was involved is involved in this, in the shape of Andrea Silva and MPN Silva as a company. What happened then? All this fell flat on its head. It never happened because legally it was not enforceable. Nick Mwendwa is not learning. Why is he going the same route that his predecessor attempted and it never worked?
Ustad, Francis,
Yes.
can I bring in Francis here? Do you share in that view that we are doing things the same way and expecting the same different results? Is that the case?
Toskin, it is the case, and just like you put it, and just like Nyakundi put it, Nick doesn't seem to learn, or Nick is doing something that is it's typical of any outgoing Kenyan or rather African leader. He just wants to mess up everything, so that whoever comes on board has a plate full of problems to deal with. And I think that is what he's trying to do. Because, and going back to clubs, due diligence cannot have been done in 24 hours. Because there are a few things that these guys should have asked. One, who signed the deal? And what is our trading name? Are we members of the league, or rather the company, the PLC that signed this deal? And who signed the deal on behalf of the PLC? Then on the other side, due diligence still continues. Who are the directors on the other side of the guys we are going into an agreement with? And how old is their directorship? Is it older than 6 months? If it's older than 6 months, we need a current list of directors. And where is this company? Why its physical address? I mean, who signed it? And there are so many issues that these guys, I'm sure these guys didn't do on that negotiation table. And we also have, information of what happened in that meeting, things that shouldn't even be spoken about in public. Yeah? There was an exchange of words between the president and the KPL president and the KPL chairman over why is this happening the way it's happening, yet there is a way in which everything should happen. So there's a lot that wasn't taken into consideration. What I know is that this is a landmine and it's going to explode on us, whether Nick is president or not, because this is not the first time Silva is coming into this country. This is not the first time Silva is signing a deal with us. This is not the first time Silva will be bailing out on us. Silva was here in 2015, signed the deal with us with the FKFPL. Who was the chairman of the FKFPL that time? Nick Mwendwa. Has anything changed? I doubt. He's still the chairman of the FKFPL registered, because there has never been a meeting convened and resolutions. I mean, to say that Nick Mwendwa has now relinquished. So Nick Mwendwa has actually, is now running two organizations. He's the chairman of the FKFPL and also the chairman of the National Federation. So I don't understand what Nick is trying to do. He wants to do everything at the same time when all established affairs in the world that are doing well do not run their local leagues. What they're trying to do, they say they want to take the KPL back. They want to house them at the gold project. This is not, I mean, this happened before. All of us know that between 2004 and 2006, the KPL was at the gold project. So what even Nick Mwendwa tries to say that he as his achievement that he operationalized the gold project is a lie. The gold project was in operation since early in 2000. In 2004 to 2006, the KPL was a resident of the gold project. Then when they signed the deal with KPL, they moved to Riyadh House. Why? There's need to service a contract. They had a very small office there. That gold project isn't that big, as we are made to understand. They had to move. They went to Riyadh House. Then another partner came on board. There was the likes of Umbro, the likes of Tusker came on board. There was need to even service the contract and look more professional. That's why they moved to Brookside Drive in Westlands. So what Nick is doing is...
When we come back, Frank, we'll continue with that conversation, but let's just take a short break and then we come back and continue with the conversation and also look at the global game itself, because the Switzerland Attorney General, that is Michael Luber, has offered to resign because of inappropriate meetings with FIFA President Gianni Infantino. I want us to talk to that and how it influences also our administration back at home here. This is Sports Chat and it's getting really hot. When we come back, we continue with that conversation. Don't go away.
This is KTN News.